Gatcombe, home to Princess Anne, the most extraordinary natural amphitheatre for the best of equestrian sport. The Event Rider Masters, Leg 5. We are past halfway in this epic series. Points are still to be played for, and the scene is set for an epic, gritty battle.
Welcome to the Event Rider Masters 2017. Now in its second year, this is the ultimate eventing series, spanning 7 events in 7 iconic locations across Britain and Europe, culminating at Blenheim Palace, where the series champion will be crowned. As the competition for the series title really begins to heat up, the 5th leg sees the Event Rider Masters return to UK turf, heading to Gatcombe Park in Gloucestershire for the Festival of British Eventing. Competition will be fast and furious as 33 of the world's very best international horses and riders from 14 different nations will be battling it out over the next 2 days for a podium spot and precious series points. This stellar field of eventing superstars and Olympic heroes will be showcasing the finest in equestrianism and tested to their limits across the 3 classic eventing disciplines. From the style and grace of dressage, to the precision and accuracy of show jumping, to the power and adrenaline of cross-country, in their quest for eventing's ultimate prize. This is the Event Rider Masters.
Welcome to Gatcombe Park. The Festival of British Eventing plays host to the 5th leg of the Event Rider Masters series, and a top-class field made the lineup. As always, there is an exceptionally strong international challenge, but an experienced British contingent will be looking to use the home advantage. It's now time for the 3rd and final phase. The crowds are building here, the tension is mounting, and the scene is set for an enthralling climax to the competition. Well, welcome back to Gatcombe. We have got so much in store for you this afternoon. Joining me in the studio, we're going to have some very special guests, and from Echo Sam Watson, you're going to be here throughout the afternoon as well. We can't wait to get underway, but it's not just us here in the studio. Let's go and say a very good afternoon to Alice.
Yet the sun is shining, the wind is blowing, it is perfect optimum conditions for the cross-country phase of this fantastic event. Sarah Bullimore will be our Pathfinder. She's out here warming up. The start box will be where she will jump out of, and it will all get underway. Behind us, the cross-country practice fences. She'll probably jump a couple of these. They're obviously not as big as what she's going to see on the course, but they'll get her warmed up. You can see her in the background there behind me. We have had a huge amount of rain here at Gatcombe in the last 48 hours, but although here it just looks a bit churned up going down to the first fence, I'd say it's officially good to soft, good in places, pretty much optimum conditions, perfect footing for the horses to really let the handbrake off and the riders to put their foot to the metal.
Well, we can't wait to get underway, but before we do, let's just remind ourselves of all of the action in the dressage yesterday and just how it unfolded.
Leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters at Gatcombe Park, and the race for the series title has reached a critical stage.
And they need a bit of fill. We ought to just be
in the opening dressage phase, it was 2016 title winner Oliver Townend who was first to go sub 40 with a solid performance on Noteworthy, clocking a 38.7. This was then the score to beat, but as the world's best tried and failed to topple him, the British rider's lead looked more and more secure. Brazilian Olympian and 7th on the series leaderboard, Marcio Cavallo-Schorsch was the first to really threaten, with the combination clocking up a 40 penalty score to secure 3rd on the overnight leaderboard. Bill Levitt and Shannondale Titan were the only other duo to impress the judges enough to award a sub 40 score. Their 39.2 meant they fell just short of Oliver, and the reigning champion took the overnight podium lead.
Very pleased with him. The Event Rider Masters is, the biggest step forwards in our sport. I love competing in it, and hopefully now the results will start coming in.
This competition is wide open as we look forward to the show jumping here at leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters.
Well, joining us here in the studio as we look forward to the cross-country, Zara Tyndall, and Sam's with us still as well. But the show jumping this morning, we knew Daibody's track was going to be influential, and it didn't disappoint. Shall we start with Gemma Tattersall, who is a huge player in the series, and actually it was an influential final combination for Gemma, Sam?
Oh, it was a huge moment. Gemma's been working so hard on this phase with this horse. It was going so well. They're turning here with just the planks to go, clear them, and they've been really influential, and they're coming down to the combination. This is one of the fastest horses in the world. Her next phase is going to be her strongest. She's nearly home, and then this happens. Has the first part coming in and the middle part. That 8 penalties translate to 20 seconds on the cross country. She is the overall series leader. She's so hungry for this competition, and that was really, really tough for her.
And another man who didn't have the easiest of times in the show jumping, it must be said. He led the dressage, Oliver Townend, and noteworthy. The horse living up to form, really. Yeah,
he's not been the easiest in this phase either. It gets to a similar point in the course. They've done a lot of the hard work here. But these planks, they don't take much to touch them, and they fall down. That's expensive. That's going to cost him 10 seconds. And then he comes in here again, same as Gemma, and just touches that front rail behind. So big moment for him. He was leading the competition. Gatcombe was where he came alive in the series last year. So when it happens so late in the course, and we'd seen the influence of it, of that whole show jumping phase, just 3 people jumping clear and inside the time this morning, just so influential.
Oliver still well placed though. He's in 5th. We know he's fast across the country, Zara. He's a man on a mission.
He's a man on a mission. He's always quick anywhere, but here he loves riding around Gatcombe, and it's one of the most difficult tracks to do it, and he absolutely thrives on it. And he will have as well, with his results through the week, he'll want to make up for what's gone wrong.
We can't write him off. But you mentioned one of those 3 clear rounds, one of the most influential show jumping records in history of the Event Rider Masters, Alex Bragg. He was one of my highlights. The most incredible clear round with Zagreb.
Yeah, Zagreb and Alex, they are just such an emerging force. They came onto the scene at Po last year in a 4-star. Fantastic job around Badminton this year. They didn't manage to finish that event off, but they came out at Aachen and they were the best of the Brits. And he comes through the finish here. It is just going so well for him right now. He can do nothing wrong. And at Gatcombe, the home of British eventing, basically, he is right in the mix now, and that's how much it means to him.
And I think improving a point as well that he was missed out. Looking at his results, it could be a key thing for the team.
He isn't selected to go to Stragon, but that leaves him open here this weekend. He can run as fast as he likes across the country. He's going to go for it, isn't he?
He's going for it. I really hope so, because it's such a good combination, and they've really showed that. And it's a beautiful horse, and he's had some great results. So hopefully he can really have a go. And it's dried up a lot out there, so hopefully, they can use the speed again.
Well, will we have a British winner, or will it be Brazil? Because Brazil are leading. Marcio George, Lissy McWeyer did a beautiful run in the show jumping, just the 1 solitary time penalty.
Yeah, Marcio, the Event Rider Masters, he's produced some great moments. His dressage test at Barbary was a massive highlight. Last year, he's produced a beautiful test, and he produced a great test here again this week. And Lissy, not the easiest horse to show jump. They've had some difficult rounds in the past. And they came in here and they just, again, they came alive under these conditions.
Well, just the 1 time penalty for Marcio. Good enough for him to lead going into the cross country this afternoon. But let's take a moment to look at that leaderboard, because this is how things stand going into the final phase this afternoon. Brazil lead, Marcio George out in front, but he has only 1 second in hand over second place Alexander Bragg and Zagreb. Kiltubrid Rhapsody, Sir Mark Todd, he was on the podium at Barbary. That was with Leonidas. Can he podium here again? Wants those series points. Sarah Cohen, Oliver Townend, both after the series points as well. Gemma Tattersall, well, she'll be coming forward with the fastest horse in the field. Arctic Soul actually managing to climb 1 place on the leaderboard despite those 2 poles in the show jumping. And a huge climb for Caroline March and Postmaster, 16 places after Dressage. Rev de Rouet, Sarah Bullimore, they'll be our Pathfinders out on the cross country very shortly, and actually a combination that were in the top 6 here 12 months ago in the Event Rider Masters. Izzy Taylor, well, she decided to withdraw before the show jumping with Perfect Stranger, so didn't come forwards. But we have got a lot to look forward to in the cross country. And let's just take a moment, because, Sam, we talk a huge amount about the cross country and about the time here at Gatcombe. But Sam, it really is influential. Can you just quantify it for us?
Well, the winning score here last year was 49.5. That was 4 or 5 marks higher than any other leg. We know Blair is an influential phase. That's the one coming up. But they only won on a score of 45. So the scores here have been so much higher. Oliver actually won with 10.4 time penalties last year. And I think that the winners here, the guys that make the podium, they will be incurring time penalties. It looks very, very difficult out there to get the time, and it's just notorious. That's what this track is about.
What is it about Gatcombe, Zara? Because obviously you know it well. What makes it?
Too well. It's really tough to be able to keep that pace up with the, balancing the horses up and down hills, across the hills, the 2 circles that we do out on the evening banks, and it's really hard to be able to keep them on it the whole time without having to, slightly change, speeds here and there. As well, yesterday, unfortunately, we had a lot of rain, which made it slower than that you could if it was quicker ground. So. Yeah, I think I reckon. I mean, I don't know. You're the experts. Are we going to have more time faults than normal?
You'd have to think we did last year. It had the average time penalties was 13, so that's just over 30 seconds over the time. That was the highest in the series. But you'd have to say this year versus last year, and I think the track is a little bit twistier this year as well. There's quite a lot of jumping and turning to do.
The only thing is, some horses, if it is softer, might let themselves down a bit more, maybe.
Well, why don't we take a closer look? Captain Mark Phillips, the course designer, and this is just what's in store.
Cross country at the Festival of British Eventing at Gatcombe is always the key test, and this year is no different over Captain Mark Phillips's track. The first big bravery question is the Land Rover Above and Beyond. They jump into the dark and down the steep Leaf Pit ramp. Carrying on around the beautiful Gatcombe Park estate here in the Cotswolds, they pick up fence after fence. The Dodson and Horrell Performance Range is an early complex, and then through the dramatic barn. Before the first of the waters, the Equex China ponds and the House of Fraser water splash. A loop back here to the Event Rider Masters log pile before they come into the water once again, getting their feet wet for the 3rd time. Now, in their mind, they're thinking about this bowl, coming into the natural amphitheatre of Gatcombe via the Land Rover fences at the Folly. Down the hill to the St James's Place Dracana, and here a big climb, a real feature of the course. Spectators here at Gatcombe can stand here and watch about 2/3 of the track as they loop up and down this hill, managing their horses' energy and power, particularly here over the tough SAP corners. You can see they loop back and forth over this ditch, all within the gaze of the public here at the Festival of British Eventing through the final water. Then it is the hill where champions will be made and dreams will come to naught. They have to nurse their horse home as quickly as possible up this hill, over the Jules Wagon, and then finally here to the Event Horse Owners Association Festival finale and maybe the Event Rider Masters win.
Well, let's take a look at that running order. Reverse order cross country means we won't know the winner until the last horse that crosses the line. Sam, the Equa Ratings ones to watch.
Well, we've seen David Britnell, a new name emerging. He's loved the series and he's been quick. He 5.6 time penalties, was very quick around Barbary. He's going to give a flavour of what the course is like. Then I'm looking at Beanie Sturgis and Lebowski in that lot. They're very quick. They love Gatcombe. They are here for one reason and one reason only, and that is to lay down a marker. Xavier Fair and Tim Price at the bottom of that session, and then we are into the big names. Oliver Townend, he'll very quick around here, as we've talked about with Noteworthy. And what can Alex Bragg do? Marcio Carvalho George as well, last out on course.
Well, a few withdrawals just in. Let's bring you up to date with those, because a couple of combinations not coming forward to the cross-country phase this afternoon. Alex Sebastian, Don Gennaro, winners here, or winners at Bramham 12 months ago, won't be coming forward. Kirsty Johnston, Louise Harwood, Izzy Power, who was on the podium 12 months ago, as well, deciding to withdraw after that difficult show jumping round. But we are nearly at the start of the cross-country. Let's go down to Alice.
Bullimore's been given 30 seconds. She's just circling around behind me now to go into the start box here. She will be our Pathfinder. You'll get a good look at her because she'll be the only horse on the course. She's coming in. She'll probably come in with 10 seconds to go, start her watch with 5 seconds to go, and it will be all systems go. Beanie Sturgis, she said she's been twice round here clear inside the time, and she hopes to make it a third time. I agree with the stats, guys. 5,
4, 3, 2, 1, go. Good luck.
Well, getting us underway here on the cross-country, leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. They were 5th here 12 months ago. Sarah Bullimore comes forward with her 4-star campaigner, Rev Durouet, owned by Brett Bullimore and Chris Gillespie. This is a horse that has been such a superstar for Sarah over the years. Has actually completed 5 of the world's 6 4-stars, and isn't always the easiest in the dressage phase. Didn't have the easiest of times in the show jumping, it must be said. 19 to add to a good dressage this weekend of 45.4. But Zara Tyndall in the studio with us. Zara, just talk us through this early question, because that is quite some drop away from fence 3.
It is quite some drop, and I think it's better than it used to be, but it's for fence 3, it's quite like, all right, here we go, you know, into the dark, you jump over a little house and immediately drop down and turn at the same time. So you really get taken down there and have to just sit with the horse and let them take you.
So away from the Land Rover Above and Beyond, riders run through the woods, and we now see them as they've gone clear of the Harrington's wall at 4, going on to the Hamptons International House at 5, and the ground slopes away, really, away from that 5th fence, up the topography the other side. And this a question, Zara, at fence 6A and B, that's a question of accuracy early on.
Yeah, and they've changed it slightly this year and putting the corner to the house. I think it'll probably ride a bit nicer than I think what was there last year, and they can really attack it coming up that hill, and you know, it's their first real sort of combination.
Well, a bit of an opportunity to let the handbrake off as our Pathfinder Sarah Bullimore, Rev Durouet, go on to the Walnut Hill Equine Veterinary Rule, then the Paul Roger Bar, before one of the real twists on this Gatcombe track. And this is one of the areas that riders want to not waste too much time.
Yeah, so this gallop you really need to make the most of and be able to properly gallop before we turn up over the lane and into the barn. Big massive table in the barn.
It's huge, isn't it?
Huge. It's absolutely huge, and I think it makes it worse because it's in the barn and it's dark as well. It really is wide, and you properly feel how much scope you have on a horse there.
Well, Sarah, very experienced with this horse. 88% clear jumping record around CICs. They have been to a lot of 4-stars as well. Now, speed-wise, they've been to Gatcombe before. Clear cross-country, 13.2 time penalties on that occasion. The time's so crucial this afternoon. This is our Pathfinder in the Event Rider Masters. Let's see how she gets on.
Well, at the Equex China Pond Hedge Inn, the first opportunity to get their feet wet. 3 minutes and 37 seconds left on the clock. She needed to be there with about 3 minutes and 52, so she's 15 seconds or so down at this early stage.
I think there she probably wanted one less, but it's a quite interesting concept, jumping out of the first water and back in. I really enjoyed doing it yesterday. You can either have 3 in between the 2 waters or 4, and she had 4, which was a bit quieter, so then that made her have another stride to the narrow.
Now, where are the fast bits and the slow bits on this course? You know, we're seeing now, definitely in the thick of it, a lot of jumping efforts going on here around this water complex.
This is really slow. This, you know, going through the first water and we loop back around. Now, once you finish that, you need to move again. You need to try and get into the park bowl and make sure you make the most of those galloping stretches.
So actually going away from the House of Fraser Water for the second time, Sarah Bullimore, our Pathfinder with Rev Dodoe, can open up on the accelerator slightly to the John Williams stable wall and the Neptune kitchen. The next real feature fence we're going to see is the Land Rover Folly. And we're going to ask you, Zara, to talk us through that in just a second, because it is a really influential fence. But the ground here at Gatcombe, it is so twisty-turny up and down. It takes a very special horse.
It takes almost, you know, like a horse to be like on a motorbike, as if, you know, the nippiness, being able to turn as quick as you can and lean into your turns and really be able to ride them and not touch them too much in the mouth. The more you touch them in the mouth, the more seconds you lose. So it really makes a difference around here.
Sarah's doing a lovely job here. You can see that she's got a nice rhythm. She's not pushing the horse out of the comfort zone, but she's trying to be as efficient as she can.
And that's the Land Rover Folly.
Jumped nicely though, that didn't it?
It made it look very easy.
Very easy.
33 seconds down on the clock. So Sarah behind the clock at this stage. 6 minutes and 19 seconds. That's the optimum time out on course. And for every second over the optimum, 0.4 of a penalty.
I think you can see though with her, she's not, you know, properly going for the time, and the pictures will look a lot different later, the ones closer to the leaderboard, you know, and there's certain places where she could, you know, move more, but she's, you know, having a lovely ride and the distances are still coming up for her there beautifully.
So next away from the start, Hector Payne for Great Britain with Michael Payne's Blue Moonshine, 58.5 their dressage, 10 to add from the show jumping from this combination, and a combination that were actually third at Bramham under 25s a couple of years ago. The horses had a quiet couple of seasons, but 68.5 in 23rd position coming forward to the cross country. So Hector safely clear of the first three, the Land Rover above and beyond. Great shot of him coming down that bank there. As Sarah Bullimore, Rev Dodoe, our Pathfinder, heading towards home. She's got just under 30 seconds left on the clock as she comes back in front of the house, down to a real question of accuracy. This is a normal table at the SAP question, Zara, but that corner at the B element, very skinny.
It's very skinny, it's quite wide, but it's quite a well-built corner, so there's a lot to aim at, I think. There'll be, I think you'll see a lot of different striding going on there, especially after you've come down that hill and being able to get the horses back again.
Going to be interesting to see stamina coming into play towards the end of this course. We've seen the pictures here with the hills that are at Gatcombe. And anyone who's here and anyone looking at these pictures can see that we have had a lot of rainfall as well. So Sarah being quite conservative in terms of speed, not being really going for top gear. So let's hope that this horse has plenty left in the tank, finishing the course, going up this final hill.
Well, the clock has turned red for Sarah Bullimore. The penalties are clocking up, 0.4 of a penalty for every second over the optimum time. But she's given us a lovely round for the first combination to go and has really shown the combinations to follow just how it should be done. She heads down to the Event Horse Owners Association Festival finale at the 27th and final fence.
I think it'd be quite interesting to see whether the last fence is now a little bit further back than it was before, well actually quite a long way back from last year, whether that makes a big difference to the ones that are tired trying to get home.
So she's a minute over the time, and you could see that the deficit on the clock when they're down a little bit early on, and that just grows and grows and grows. So that time bank going to be all important as this competition unfolds, keeping an eye on that clock, keeping an eye on the rhythm. Here we got Hector Payne.
Blue Moonshine, very neatly clear of that combination. The Dodson and Horrell Performance Range Wall and Hedge 11A and B heads down the hill to the first of the waters. And it's a really steep bank coming up to that B element, isn't it?
It is a really steep bank and a steep landing, but if they... He was a sort of, I think that started in the first water, didn't it? The turn wasn't right, and then he was off the first log, and he was always chasing it after then, so he didn't really have him in a good hold to get to the skinny.
So our first 20 penalties here on course for Hector Payne and Moonshine. They had an 80% record coming in at CIC 3-star record. Their jumping statistics will fall a little bit from that 20 penalties, but now Harry Dennis and Zam at fence 3.
Well, 73.7, the combination come forward with. That left them in 24th position after the first two phases. As backed with Hector Payne, Blue Moonshine, carrying those 20 penalties. He comes back to the House of Fraser Water. Swings back on himself to the second element here.
Just a little bit niggly on him as well. He's needing to use his whip every now and then. So it's obviously, you know, doesn't quite take him enough, or enough as he would want him to.
Well, a little bit of encouragement. He's incurred that 20 penalties early on, so he'll probably just try and get this horse around, jump the rest of the course clear and back off in terms of speed from what we're seeing here.
Well, a confirmed score for our Pathfinder, Sarah Bullimore. She was nearly a minute over the time, 24 time penalties, ran in 7 minutes and 19, so 88.4 her final score. But Hector Payne making that really long run up towards the Land Rover Folly with Blue Moonshine. And this is one of the few parts of the course, Zara, that you can open up the accelerator and really try and catch up on the time.
It is, but then they sneakily put a little chicane up the hill where you sort of, you know, again, it's just one of those things that can throw them off their balance a little bit when you've sent them galloping and they're like, actually, no, a little bit left, a little bit right, which really makes a difference when it's all added together.
Course designer knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Just trying to catch us out everywhere.
Dads are annoying like that.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Oh, and a run out for Hector Payne and Blue Moonshine as well.
I think as well with it, jumping the first bit, he again wasn't as attacking as, because he's backed off the pace a little bit. I think the horse is kind of, that's the struggle that you kind of get to when you've had something go wrong. You back off and then it almost leads to more problems.
More problems down the line. Harry Dennis and Zam, this is a horse that has taken Harry to a number of 4 stars. They were top 25 at Le Moulin this year as well. Very experienced. And he heads down the hill. The Equix China Pond swings right-handed. The first time that we've gone from one water directly into another water here at Gatcombe. Sets up for that skinny final element. And there isn't a huge amount to aim at that final skinny brush.
It's very, very narrow at the base of the jump. And obviously, you know, we train day in, day out and try and teach our horses to really look for the flags, and that's, you know, so we have to try and ignore the fact that the front of the fence is so narrow. We really make sure that we can get the horses in between the flags and they know what they're looking for.
Those turns are going to be very interesting to watch down at those water fences, because I think as the competition progresses, and we are already into the top 25, but they will start to shave those turns and try and shave those seconds off.
Ashley Edmond away for Great Britain with her own triple chance, 65.3 they come forward with, and we're into the top 20 now, 20th position, so the top 20 running in reverse order of merit. Harry Dennis and Zam, 2 minutes and 30 left on the clock as he goes away from the John Williams Stables wall at the 16th. So he's a little over 30 seconds down. We'll get a proper clock check for him at the Land Rover Folly. But Sarah, sometimes if you've not had the easiest of times in the show jumping, you perhaps don't go out with your foot firmly on the accelerator.
No, you don't, and I think, you know, especially, unfortunately, he had 19 faults in the show jumping, so, you know, he's not close enough to be able to make a difference with a quick time, whereas if you know, up there and had sort of 2 down, you're still in touch and can have a good result with a quick time, so you just want to go out and make sure you have a nice round and make those distances and educate the horse and, you know, hopefully come for another day.
And he stood a little way off that second
element.
element.
He's very genuine, though. I think, you know, I like to see horses that do that. If you're slightly wrong, they're like, yeah, come on then, we can do this again. And, you know, it shows a real, true partnership.
Well, Zam, one of the horses in the field with 4-star experiences within the time at the Le Moulin 4-star on their most recent international run, and they were clear with just 3.2 time penalties at Chatsworth earlier this year, so they're used to tackling hills and they can be quick.
So Harry Dennis up the long run up the hill to fence number 20, the Richard Coghlan Arch Log. Ashley Edmond, triple chance.
So this is going to be a big question for Ashley. this Gatcombe course. It's going to be a challenge for, as we've seen already, problems out on course for other riders, for Hector. And this is, again, a less experienced combination. They have got some 3-star form. Clear at Bramham, clear jumping there on that occasion. A good result, finishing 7th. 20 penalties at Chatsworth earlier in the year before that. So interesting combination to watch out on course here.
Rushing through the first element of the Equex China Pond, up the bank to the log. And as we've said, Zara, those two quarters very much related. How you go through the first affects directly the second.
The second bit, and I think the distance between there is 3 or 4. We've seen these guys go 3 and probably 6 to the skinny, but later on I think you might see them doing 3, you know, taking a stride out of each of those distances, because if you want to make the time, you're going to have to take those forward distances today.
So Harry Dennis, the clock is already red for him with Zam as he comes to the Red Savannah Water. The log-in at fence 25A would actually need a little over 30 seconds on the clock to get home inside the time from there. So we know he's going to get time penalties. They're clocking up 0.4 of a penalty for every second over that optimum. But still, it's been a good clear round across the country so far for him. He just has the 2 jumping efforts remaining.
He looks like the horse is still full of running though, doesn't he? He's had a nice round, and I always think they come on a lot from running around Gatcombe if you know, if they've had a good round, because it is a tough track, but it's, you know, you can go out and attack it, but it really teaches them how to breathe when they're galloping, and they learn a lot from it.
Well, 2 horses with 4-star experience, Rev de Rue and now Zam, coming through the finish line, both of them around that 1 minute over. So obviously as we get further down and further higher up the leaderboard, we will see quicker times, but today is definitely, it's going to be very, very influential.
Well, into the top 20 reverse order cross country here, leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters at the Festival of British Eventing. In the studio with me, Sam Watson from Equa Ratings, and the former world champion Zara Tindall as well, giving us their expert opinion on all of our combinations. But Ashley Edmond just coming through the Land Rover Folly, gets both elements there, and then swings away to the left. She's 50 seconds down on the clock, but would be relatively inexperienced at this level compared to the rest of the field.
Yeah, possibly not built for speed, but they are loving the jumping. It's fantastic to see the horse really enjoying taking on these challenging elements. This, for short format eventing, this is as difficult and as tough as it gets.
Well, now away, one of my favourite combinations on course, David Britnell with Continuity. Now, this could be a good early indication of the time, because they were just over the time at Chatsworth, and they were one of the faster rounds of the day at Barbary as well.
Ooh, we saw a big one there.
So David is all guns blazing.
He's gone 3. Just as we were saying, I think, you know, that's what he's attacking it. He's gone out and attacking it, which is great to see.
In terms of his time, Sam, what can you tell us about his last couple of runs? Because relatively inexperienced.
He is inexperienced, but as you say, some very quick times. Hartbury, 0.8 time penalties in the 3-star, 2.8 at Chatsworth, a difficult place to make the time. And Barbary Castle this year was very tough, 5.6. But he's a young man, this really being his only horse, his first horse at this level. And David, it doesn't matter about the scoreboard for him. He is learning experience, gaining experience, and he's taking the opportunity of being at an Event Rider Masters and at a course like Gatcombe. He is here to give it his all.
So Ashley Edmonds clear through the SAP corner with triple chance. The clock is already red, so the time penalty's clocking up, but clear jumping so far. And this is a combination that I don't think would always be the fastest across the country, but on track so far for a good jumping clear round. Big jump clear of the Event Rider Masters parallel. And Zara, that fence is absolutely huge.
It's wide, and it's, you know, you can walk 2 people down the middle of it and very comfortably. But I think, as we were saying about the time here, I think with inexperienced riders as well who haven't ridden very many times around Gatcombe, it's hard. It is really hard, and the experienced guys who've been here a lot will have a much bigger advantage, because they know how to get the best out of the horse, get the most out of the horse.
And we talk about a horse being genuine, but Triple Trance going through the Red Savannah Water there, he was the epitome of genuine.
He was genuine. He's, you know, slightly not completely right, but was still going to go no matter what. You know, he's absolutely genuine and loves his job.
Often at this level of competition with flatter tracks and with top of the ground, stamina doesn't always play as big a role. It's usually just about the speed, but here it's going to be a balance of both, and the riders will always have to keep in mind how much have they got left for those last couple of hills here at Gatcombe.
This is gonna upset all your ratings, isn't it, Sam?
Yeah, the numbers here they could look very interesting by the end of the day.
After this one.
So David Britnell, continuity. Coming forward to the cross-country on a two-phase score of 66.6, making that long run right at the top of the course. They'll go to the beta double brush at 21.
David looks to be going in a nice rhythm now, which I'm quite happy to see, because you can't keep up a really frantic pace the whole way around this course. It is very much about keeping the horse in a balance, in a rhythm, trying to maximize the output, of course, but keeping the horse underneath you for the full round.
And it is very much, though, about riding what is underneath you. You may have a game plan when you go out on course, but that can very rapidly have to change.
Very rapidly, especially when you get to the top of that hill, which I think he probably found a little bit then is, you know, how much horse you've got underneath you. And those shots, even though he was attacking out there, that can take quite a lot out of the horse. You know, those kind of wild jumps can take a lot out of the horse, you know, when you get to the top of the hill and say, come on then, there's not quite as much left in the tank as you thought.
Well, no problems at the top spec. Saddle horse at 23 for David Britnell, continuity. And he is very nearly home. The last real question for him, the Red Savannah Waterlog and Boat, 25 A and B. Would need to be jumping into the water with about 30 seconds left on the clock. So he's going to be down, but he will be by far the fastest round that we've seen so far today.
So remembering that last year the average number of time penalties translated to being about 32, 33 seconds over the clock, that on a day like today could actually be one of the faster times. So David here having a good spin. He's kept the horse enjoying the jumping the whole way around. You can definitely see that he's been one of the quicker ones, and the horse, he's pricking his ears coming to the second last here.
Still really jumping, but his stride length has slightly changed.
You can tell he's had a competitive run, and that starting to get a little bit tired.
But David Britnell coming home with continuity, sees a flyer at the festival finale, goes on through the finish to complete. It'll be a few time penalties for him, 19.2 in total, 85.8 his total score, and he will be our new clubhouse leader. So that will be the leading score at the moment. But away goes Rose Carnegie and Landine. 55.2 their dressage, 17 to add from the show jumping, so 72.2 their two-phase score. Coming forward to the cross country.
Well, they're only an international so far, coming at Breitling Park. A clear on that occasion for Rose Carnegie and Landine. 20 penalties that harassed the pan last year in the CCI 3-star. But here at Gatcombe to give it a go.
And Rose actually on the comeback trail. She had a really badly broken leg at the start of this year. Only recently back in the saddle, but very much back at the top level. Has a really nice team of horses, competed up to 4-star level.
Well, we've talked about course experience. Rose and Landing were here in 2015, jumping clear on that occasion. 32 time penalties just shows that this track in any year is a difficult place to be quick, and obviously none more so than this year.
Have you made your decision about what the quickest time is going to be, Sam, today?
Well, I didn't think anyone was going to get within 10 seconds, and anyone
it was 20 seconds earlier.
No, it was 10, wasn't it? Four time penalty. You're trying to squeeze me out. You're trying to get me to lose my run of predictions here. But we'll stick with that. 4 time penalties. If somebody can beat 4 time penalties, I'll buy them a beer.
Do we dare ask who you think might beat it? Or could get close?
I imagine Gemma Tattersall could be. She might not drink beer. A gin and tonic. Bottle of wine.
Rose Carnegie Landine through the Equus China Pond and away from the House of Fraser Water for the first time. She'll make this tight turn back on yourself as away from the start. Ben Hobday, one of the fan favourites, comes away on course with Rachel Foster's Stiletto H. 52.0 their dressage, 10 to add from the show jumping, 62.0. That left them in 19th position. Coming forward to the cross country, Ben, who's jumped double clear around badminton. a horse he very much thinks a huge amount of for the future. Only a 10-year-old, but was 5th at Barbary at this level just a few weeks ago.
I think he looks like he's set out the quickest of the lot so far, and is definitely meaning to go as quick as he can.
Be interesting to see with Ben. They actually had 8.4 time penalties at Bergam last weekend, which was quite a quick time, and they did that with 20 penalties in the jumping. So they were quick on that occasion. 7.2 around Barbary. That was not a slow time for Barbary. So again, Ben Hobday out on course at the moment. Looks like he's set off at a good pace. He's going to give us a good feel of how the time's going.
Rose Carnegie making that really long run up towards the Land Rover Folly with Landine. This is a horse that completed badminton a couple of years ago, back in 2015, so very experienced at the highest level. And actually, she's a little under 2 minutes left on the clock, so she is down on the clock. We'll get a clock check for her at the Land Rover Folly. Socks up, going to that real accuracy question of the corner at the B element. She's jumping clear so far. Just the 17 to add from the show jumping to that dressage score of 55.2. And 42 seconds down on the clock. So not the quickest we've seen at that stage.
Having a good round.
Yeah, there's a real balance that takes place in this format of competition, in that a lot of people will take 1 or 2 runs a season where they really take the pressure off in terms of time, giving the horse experience, and depending on where the horse is in their career, they might be running more frequently with that pressure off and just giving a really nice jumping experience to the horses.
And also, you've got to make those choices on the ground as well. If the ground's good enough, but you don't want to go quick, you know, and you need to run, you need to have a run, you've got to decide, you know, when and where's the most appropriate for you and your horse.
And then sometimes you think, actually, my horse could do with a fast run, and you set out like Ben Hobday, who is motoring down towards the Equus China Pond at fence 12. 3 minutes and 40 left on the clock going in there, and he commits to the B element.
Sitting up there nicely at the log going into the water. Out over the skinny and setting off again with a quick pace. This is a really interesting round to watch. Ben Hobday here, Stiletto H, and we've got a loose dog.
So back into the House of Fraser Water,
Very
Ben
quick
Hobday.
turn.
Really quick turn from Ben Hobday. That is going to be key today. It isn't just about speed, it really is about those turns.
And you see the difference with Ben is that when he lands, he moves away from the fence immediately. So it's, you know, we're not waiting around, we absolutely jump the fence and we're off again.
Harry Mead now away cruising there at the 3rd fence. One of the most experienced and masterful cross-country riders on course. Clear in there, all of their 20 CIC 3-stars that they've done over the last 7 years. Harry Mead, and away cruising.
Well, Rose Carnegie, Landine, the time penalties clicking up for them. The clock has turned red, and the time penalties prove very expensive. 0.4 of the penalties are for every second over that optimum. It adds up very quickly.
Too much, too much. I think, yeah, it's, and you know, the more you can hear it in your watch and you know, the more it grates on you. But it's really punishing on your score.
Today it is actually, usually we ride to an optimum time whereby, you know, that several riders will hit the time, but today it really is just about the fastest.
Well, 6 minutes and 19 is that optimum time. 3,600 metres in total, this 3-star track here at the Festival of British Eventing, which is kindly hosting leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters, and the commentary here is going out on site as well as for the live stream. So a huge thank you to everybody involved here at Gatcombe, because it takes an absolute army of volunteers as well as the whole organising team to put on an event such as this, and we're very, very grateful to all of them. If you've never volunteered for an event, do consider it, because it is an incredible way to see some top-class action firsthand. Ben Hobday, Stiletto H for owner Rachel Foster goes well up the hill as we're back with Harry Mead and away cruising. 46.1 dressage, 15 to add from the show jumping. So in 18th position coming forward to the cross country, and 61.1 their 2-phase score.
Harry with a great reputation of cross-country riding, and he has back that up with his numbers for sure. So far, 10 internationals in 2017, all 10 of those clear cross-country jumping, 20 CIC 3-star internationals since 2010, and clear in all of those 20 internationals too. You really are looking at one of the best as he jumps over the high part of that brush fence coming out.
Maybe he's making it lower for everyone else coming behind.
Took the direct line.
It's made the line easier now for everyone. I think here you almost don't even need to wear a watch. You just go. You have to go, not think about where you are. Oh!
So Harry Mead, away cruising, unfortunately just running past the B element of the House of Fraser water at the first attempt. So 20 penalties for Harry. Ben Hobday, Stiletto H, the fastest round we've seen. 30 seconds down on the clock as he comes to the red Savannah water. He is pushing towards home now, and Ben is really chasing that clock. He wants to put a good score on the board. The clubhouse leader at the moment, David Britnell, on a score of 85.8.
He's had a great round, and the horse is still galloping. Even though his stride length's probably a bit shorter, he's still galloping and jumping. Ben's going to make sure of it.
He's riding a finish, isn't he? So Ben Hobday coming home over 30 seconds over the time, but he will be our fastest round of the day, and he will be our new clubhouse leader. And Ben Hobday, Stiletto H, some 42 seconds over. They finish on 78.8, but that is the score to beat as things stand.
Nice young horse, though, for the future.
Yeah, really interesting few minutes there. Ben Hobday posting a really competitive score, putting that on the board. And Harry Mead, I still can't get over it. Away cruising, had his first cross-country jumping fault since his first ever international back in 2013.
Yeah, I think he'll be very, very annoyed with that.
Literally, just as I was going on about not just away cruising stats, but Harry's as well. And right on cue,
So
Epi ratings have.
You've cursed him.
Well, apparently this is something that we can do with statistics. We're not sure how and why it happens, but it just seems to.
It's too much knowledge, I think.
So Harry Mead heading up to the Land Rover Folly with away cruising. And sometimes, Zara, when you have a horse as experienced as away cruising and you have a 20 penalties, is it as much about educating them that actually they've had what could be a fairly naughty 20, they've got to carry on, job still to be done?
Absolutely, job still needs to be done. You can't back off and not think about what's still to come. It just depends how many fences it takes for you to get over the fact that it's just happened, because it might irritate him for quite a few fences, that one.
Interesting that when we saw him jumping through the big bit of that brush, he was drifting out to the left, and he did run out to the left then a couple of fences later.
Well, Paul Sims and Calidor, first time we've seen them up at the Dodson and Hurrell Performance Range, wall and hedge. Didn't get the easiest of jumps clear at the first element,
yeah.
Not able to make the turn. And Sarah, just talk us through the topography going to that first element, because you go down quite a steep bank.
You go down a steep bank and then over a lane, and then it's over the wall with another drop. So we're going down and unbalancing the horses. And then again, the narrow is 3 strides down the hill on the turn, encouraging you to, lose your horse's right-hand shoulder. He didn't have a great jump, so the whole everything unravelled much quicker than he'd wanted it to.
Well, interesting to see cross-country jumping faults coming into play here around this course. That will be influential later on in the competition as well. But Paul Sims and Calidor, the first 20 penalties appearing on their score sheet in their career so far.
So Harry at the SAP corner, coming down the hill, just taking a slightly curving line to that B element before he swings left-handed to the top spec saddle horse.
I think that coming down that hill's quite hard, because you've obviously come up to the top, and then you can almost just let them cruise a bit down there and back off them a bit and take a breath. And then if they think, oh great, we're just going to cruise now, and then you've got to pick them back up at the bottom of the turn and make sure that they're accurate, and some can get very rude at the bottom of that hill.
Well, it was actually a different combination slightly on that hill last year that cost Izzy Taylor, KBIS Bryland's Matilda, the opportunity to challenge Oliver Townend for the win here 12 months ago with a really unfortunate 20 penalties. But Harry Mead heading towards home at the Red Savannah Water with his 4-star campaigner, away cruising, carrying those 20 penalties from that run out at the House of Fraser Water, and the time penalties clicking up as well. He'll just want to get home safely, as Paul Sims and Calidor also running into problems at that House of Fraser Water. We've seen 3 combinations have issues there so far, Zara. Any particular reason why?
Well, I think I might need some help from you, actually. Was it
Bad steering.
Bad bad bit choice. I think definitely 2 of them did 3 strides, did they? But I think between the 2 waters, which leaves you a bit open. I could be wrong. Someone will definitely come in and make.
We'll get an expert in like Blythe Tate or something
exactly.
in a few minutes and see what he comes up with.
I think it leaves you a bit open to, you know, keeping them in your rein to the narrow. Also, there is quite a few fences in front of you there, so if you lose their concentration a bit, it could be maybe a difficult line for them.
And skinny fences in these ground conditions, the ground does cut up. We've already had a class running here this morning.
And coming out the water as well, even more so.
So Umberto Riva for Italy, making his Event Rider Masters debut this weekend. There was a stallion on the podium 12 months ago. Phoenix Damine, the only stallion in the field this year, 14 years of age, and this combination pulled out a huge personal best in the dressage yesterday. 6 to add from the show jumping, which was actually a very good round in that first phase. And they come to the House of Fraser Water boldly into the first element, and gets the B element.
Gets the B element. So he did 4 strides and then a nice 6 to the narrow fence. I think also with that, you know, you've got to make sure that you get through the first water as well. And you know, if it's messy through the first turn, it unravels, as we've said, you know, quicker than you think it does.
So Matthew Heath away with Hazel Livesey's Cooley Lord Lux. This is a new ride for Matt this year, 50.5 at their dressage. Actually jumped a beautiful clear round in the show jumping, but 6 time penalties, so 56.5. But we are into the top 15 here. Leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters, a class that was won 12 months ago by Oliver Townett. Paul Sims and Calidor carrying those 20 penalties, and he's really taken his foot off the accelerator now, as you'd perhaps expect, as he comes down towards the red Savannah water. The last real question on course at fence 25 A and B.
It's nice. I think you know once you've had a 20, you just want to have a nice run and an educating run, and also the competition is so tough these days at the top, and it's so close that, you know, once you've had a big mistake like that, there's really sort of no coming back, no sort of improvement that's going to happen. So making sure you look after the horses.
Education for the future, making sure they have a good experience, bringing them home safely. So
save your legs for another day.
Calidor, Paul Sims going on to the Event Horse Owners Association Festival Finale to complete, and they will finish with 112.0. So away from the Land Rover Folly, it is Umberto Riva.
Been really impressed with this Italian rider all weekend. That big personal best in the 3-star dressage, as you mentioned, Nicole, and 6 penalties in the show jumping this morning. That was a far better than average result given the conditions we had. This combination were clearing inside the time at Buccolo at the end of 2016, the end of last season. So this actually, on paper, their strongest phase. Will be really interesting to see, can they finish off what has been a really, really successful Event Rider Master debut so far for Umberto.
Well, he's a minute left on the clock, so he is down on the clock. He was some 30 seconds down at the Land Rover Folly, but the crowds have been piling in here at Gatcombe. It is brilliant to see so many people coming out to support the festival, because we have had some top-class competition on throughout the weekend. Zara Tyndall in with us in the studio for the first 15 or so horses. Zara, thank you so much for your insight.
Pleasure, thank you for having me.
We'll look forward to seeing you in the Masters Series in the future.
Hopefully.
We'll get you back.
You let me back in.
We will, of course we will. But thank you very much. And we are going to go from one world champion to another former world champion and welcome Blythe Tate into the studio in just a second. But Matt Heath, Cooley Lord Lux, on that good score of 56.5, heads down to the Equus China Pond, just really setting up for that first element. Wants to be sure he can make that tight right-handed turn. And he goes away from the House of Fraser Water as next out on course. This a combination that could be climbers. Beanie Sturgis with the 17-year-old Lebowski. They had a very good dressage, 52.2. One pole rolled in the show jumping. They are fast across the country. But one man coming towards the end of his round, Umberto Riva and Phoenix Damine at the Red Savannah Water. Get both elements there very easily and head on up the hill, set sail towards home. As Blythe Tate, we will welcome you into the studio here at Gatcombe and say a very good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Thoughts on the course so far?
Well, it's riding as I imagined it would, and that is difficult. You know, when you add speed to it, as everybody has said, mistakes happen, and this course is, you know, offering plenty of chances for mistakes. All the angles, the distances, the ups and downs. So, no, exciting so far.
Well, Beanie Sturgis and Lebowski out on course. They're going to be really, really exciting to see. Looking at the numbers on her, she was two time penalties at Gatcombe last year, only 5 seconds over the second fastest time. Made the time in the Event Rider Masters climax at Blenheim last year. So they know this track and they have the ability to post a really quick time.
To the Neptune kitchen, what one would describe as a bit of a let-up fence, Blythe, which it doesn't make it any smaller, but it's perhaps less technical.
It is definitely a let-up fence, but it's big and it has a little bit of a drop behind it as well, so the riders still have to stay in balance, keep the horse's confidence, and of course it leads into this difficult combination.
Well, actually, 12 months ago, if my memory serves me correctly, Cooley Lord Lux was here ridden by Flora Harris and had problems at the Land Rover Folly. Clear this time, so Matt continues on, but Beanie Sturgis, Lebowski, one of the fastest in the field, and I think second fastest on the Equa Ratings database, Sam.
On our top speed ratings that we do, looking at all of these competitions and how they pan out in different conditions, this is a horse who has had a lot of very quick rounds in very difficult conditions recorded. So they're clear through that water. They're not wasting any time. He's a small, nippy horse, and Beanie really knows how to be quick around these tracks.
Beanie horse was built or designed for Gatcombe. It's this one. He's, as you said, very nippy on his feet. He's as bold as brass, and you know, he seems to really shine on this track.
Well, quick clock check for you. 5 seconds down, jumping into the House of Fraser Water for the second time. This is by far the fastest we've seen so far.
So if she's less than 10 seconds over the clock, I have to buy her a drink. Knowing Beanie, that could be a large one.
I think if you say that a bit louder, she'll be able to hear you.
She'll be spurred on. So Matthew Heath, Cooley Lord Lux, heading back down the hill to the SAP question at 22A and B.
And Matt set off really in a rhythm that I don't think he was ever going to go and try and beat this clock today, probably trying to give his horse some experience at this level.
They're just a fairly new partnership as well, and I think they're full of promise. So I'm thinking so far he would be very pleased.
And you've got to pick your courses and your days, and we're talking about how well suited this Lebowski is to the course. Cooley Lord Lux, an opposite frame. He's a big horse, and probably find a track that will suit him a little bit better. But here is Lebowski, ears pricked.
Now, Beanie could actually be way over the time to go ahead of our current clubhouse leader, David Bricknell. She's 7 seconds over, by far the fastest that we've seen at this stage. She's still on course, Sam, to beat your prediction of being no riders under 10 seconds over.
Yeah, but Gatcombe, a difficult course from that point of view, in that it only gets more difficult to try and get that. That clock just keeps slipping away from you. We see her going uphill now. She'll have that famous last hill to come up as well. So plenty still ahead of Lebowski and Beanie Sturgis.
So Matthew Heath heading towards home. Cooley Lord Lux, clear jumping, plenty of time penalties to add for them. They're not going to trouble the leaders, but a very good clear round across the country. Just the Event Horse Owners Association Festival finale to complete, and he goes home with a very good jumping clear round. Beanie Sturgis, Lebowski running along the very top of the track. She's got just over a minute left on the clock. 52.2 her dressage, 1 pole rolled in the show jumping, a two-phase score of 56.2. I can't help but feel, Sam, Beanie was 25th after dressage. I'm having a flashback 12 months ago to Elizabeth Power and Solidoon.
Yeah, we had last year Elizabeth in the same position, 25th after dressage, and they actually finished on a score of 56.5. Beanie on a score of 56.2. Again, conditions more difficult than 12 months ago, so those scores, we'd expect them to be even higher. We could see a winning score here at Gatcombe in the very late 40s.
And the thing to note about Beanie's round as well is that she hasn't taken any unnecessary risks. She's looked very smooth, very balanced all the way.
It's absolutely not a license to throw caution to the wind, is it? You've got to be quick and efficient, and that's what we see with these top-class riders, is that they make the time of Blythe, none more so than you. We've seen you doing this around tracks like this, keeping it efficient, asking the horse for an effort when it's appropriate, and then keeping the horse nice and balanced coming up to the fences.
That's right. I mean, she's wasted not a second, but this is a good blood horse that's kept his gallop right to the end as well.
So definitely going to be the quickest horse home so far in the Event Rider Masters this season.
Well, Beanie Sturgis, she is going to go into the lead. She will go to the top of the podium, 6.4 time. And that is a very, very good round for her. She sets the standard. Beanie Sturgis, Lebowski, the ones to beat at this stage.
Well, that is one obstacle out of the way when it comes to buying a drink. 6.4 time. 4 is the challenge that we have set here. But the leaders in the people at the top of the leaderboard, they're out there, they're warming up, they're watching how this is unfolding, and everybody knows Lebowski was a key one to watch in terms of speed.
Caroline March and Postmaster, they were 30th after dressage, one of the 3 clear rounds in the show jumping, the most incredible clear round. She really did deserve that huge climb up the leaderboard. She's in 13th place coming forward on the cross country, 55.3. What can she do across the country? We'll have a clock check for her here at the Land Rover Folly.
They have a CIC 3-star clear under their belt.
I mean, this girl has impressed me so much so far today. Her show jumping round, as you said, was immaculate. If she keeps ahead for the rest of the course, she could post a great performance.
And they were clear at Chatsworth earlier this year, 26.8 time penalties on that occasion, so probably not going for the time. Interesting to see what their tactics will be today. 9.2 time penalties at Bramham in 2015 around a CCI 3-star. So experience under their belt, and we'll see how they go.
Well, Francis Whittington heading into the middle section of his round makes that sharp left-handed turn back to the Hamptons International House. And we were saying with Zara a little bit earlier on, Blythe, that table is quite huge.
Yes, it is. And on a day like today where the conditions aren't so bright, it's not so difficult because you're not going into a change of light and dark. But it's still a big fence in anyone's book. Francis has decided that the best route there was over the highest part of the brush.
We've seen a few decide that's the most direct route.
Yeah, I think, you know, everyone's very focused on turning hard left, and I think some of them are just turning a little soon and getting the highest part of the brush. Well controlled through here, and never in doubt.
So Caroline March, Postmaster, she could afford to be 17 seconds over the time to go ahead of Beanie Sturgis and Lebowski. She's not going to challenge the lead at the moment. She'd need 30 seconds from the Red Savannah Water to get home anyway, and the clock has just turned red. But what an incredible debut from Caroline March, 57.7. The clock still ticks up 0.4 of a penalty for every second over that optimum. Francis Whittington goes away from the House of Fraser Water for the second time, and Hasty Imp really does accelerate there, Blythe.
Yes, and I mean, Francis, very experienced rider. He knows how to save a second after every fence, and you know, he's very competitive, so it'll be interesting to see his time. Caroline coming towards the finish, and she can be very proud of her Event Rider Masters debut because it's been very impressive.
Well, one of those few clear rounds in the show jumping. She's just got the Event Horse Owners Association Festival finale at the 27th and final fence to complete her round. She'll be around a minute over the optimum time, but that is still a very good Event Rider Masters debut here at Gatcombe. And Caroline March, Postmaster, complete with 77.7.
Well, here's Francis Whittington, one of the most experienced riders in the field, 63 CIC 3-stars under his belt since the beginning of 2010. He jumps clear around these courses at a rate of 88%. He is very, very proficient across the country. Clear inside the time, 10% of the time around these CIC 3-stars. That's not going to be one of those days today.
Well, he has 20 seconds in hand over Beanie Sturgis Lebowski, but he is 35 seconds down on the clock, so he's not going to be able to challenge. But it is still a good round across the country, and still one of the fastest rounds that we've seen so far. And Francis,
but he's a very experienced horse, but you have to go back to Samur in 2014 for the last time that this horse actually made the time in an international competition. So experience on their side. The jumping should be taken care of around a track with Francis with this experience and Hastien with this experience. But as Nicole says, the clock is ticking away in terms of being able to overtake Lebowski and Beanie Sturgis.
it would be looking unlikely, but he could still put himself on the podium and pick up good series points, because he was top 10 at Barbary just a few weeks ago, finished 8th on that occasion with Hasty Imp, and this a horse that has been such a star for him over the years. He's completed at 4-star level, and Francis, one of the nicest riders in the world to watch across the country.
Yeah, always in a very good balance. He gives the horses every chance, and he's very sympathetic on a horse over a fence, so the horse can really use itself. It shows the 6 strides there. There is a possibility of doing a forward 5, but with Francis's horse, he thought the 6 strides was better.
Well, Gemma Tattersall for Great Britain with the Soul Syndicate's Arctic Soul is out on course. 11th after show jumping, 44.5 their dressage, that left them in 12th place. They actually climbed 1 place on the leaderboard with 2 down in the show jumping, and Gemma, she is our current series leader, out in front with 74 points, and this is one of the fastest horses in the field.
Certainly is. They've made the time at places like Buccalow, Blenheim, Badminton, Blair Castle European Championships. They really are Speedmeisters. They are the series leader, Gemma Tattersall, and it will be fantastic to see Arctic Soul around this Gatcombe track.
I think she signalled her intention straight away, because she's jumped the first 3 fences faster than anybody.
So Francis Whittington heading towards home. He's just got the 1 to go, but the lady on top of the podium, Beanie Sturgis, how long will she be on top of the podium for?
Francis Whittington over the last fence. And he's going to be a minute over the side, well, 56 seconds over the time. Gemma Tattersall, meanwhile, flying around Gatcombe.
Oh, jumped all the way to the bottom of the bank there.
So scopy and so fast, Arctic Soul.
But he isn't the easiest. He is definitely feisty across the country, but Beanie Sturgis is the one she's looking to knock off at the top of the podium.
Beanie, what a round with Rotter.
Oh, wasn't he amazing, Al? I'm so proud of him, absolutely so proud. I'm going to get all emotional now. His last Gatcombe, he's been here, he first came here 10 years ago, so...
Oh, well, you've wowed everyone. If you can't make the time, I'm not sure that anyone can.
I have to say, that was just, I was going quite quick, and I think if anyone, I'm sure people will go quicker, but hats off to them, because they've got bigger pants than me.
Listen, well done.
Thanks, Al.
Well, Gemma Tattersall coming down the hill to the Equus China Pond, the first of the 3 waters out on course. And Arctic Soul certainly very boldly clear of the first element.
That is the question on everyone's lips now, is does Gemma Tattersall have bigger pants than Beanie Sturgis?
She's certainly riding a great round at the moment. The horse is getting a little strong, but she's, not fighting with him. She's just suggesting to him that he pays a bit more attention.
A fantastic turn there from Gemma. A horse who we know is strong. She did that so smoothly, so tactfully.
Now, coming up in a moment, after this B element from the House of Fraser Water, is going to be the opportunity for Gemma to let the handbrake off. Watch this horse go, because he is like a rocket. Arctic Soul, Gemma Tattersall heading to the Land Rover Folly. As away goes for Italy, another series contender. Vittoria Panizon with Borough Pennies. 48.7 their dressage, just the 3-time faults from the show jumping, but an immaculate jumping clear round. 51.7, we are into the top 10 here at Gatcombe Park, the Festival of British Eventing, hosting leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters series. And reverse order cross country means we won't know the winners until the last horse crosses the line. But the problem is when you let Arctic Soul go, Blythe, you've got to get him back again, because he is very fast.
Yes, they know each other really well. They're a great partnership. You know, it's great to have a horse that has speed, because she was able to just use it then. But she's sensible. She's, you know, still jumping the fences, getting him back for this difficult line.
Now we're going to get a clock check here. She has 25 seconds in hand over Beanie to go at the top of the leaderboard. She is 1 second up on the clock. This is by far the fastest round we have seen so far. Gemma Tattersall to the St James's Place Dracana here, and takes a flyer there. She can kick on up the hill.
The thing about this horse as well is that he's got really quick times around championship courses, around Badmintons, Burleys, so he has stamina on his side as well. We know that this horse can gallop, so yes, he's extremely quick, but the hills here at Gatcombe, the conditions here at Gatcombe, they're not going to affect Arctic Soul. He's got the power.
Well, the top 3 as things stand. Out in front on top of the podium, Beanie Sturgis on 62.6. In second, Francis Whittington, Hasty Imp 76.8. Caroline March, Postmaster 77.7. So that is the podium at the moment, but Vittoria Panizon and Borough Pennies 51.7. We're into the top 10, remember. They will have time in hand. We'll wait and see when Gemma Tattersall gets home just how much time they will have. But Gemma comes to the SAP question at 22 A and B.
I mean, 5 strides there, it just saves a second. She's, you know, really got that clock working on in her head.
Go on, right.
It was interesting, though, that at the Folly, she chose to take the 6th stride. So, in other words, she's still thinking she's not taking any unnecessary risks, because that's a difficult fence to get to on 5.
Well, we talked about the CV of Arctic Soul. Borough Pennies, a horse who's made the time at Badminton, a horse who made the time at the London Olympic Games back in 2012, and they look exceptionally quick as well.
Gemma Tattersall is on course to make the time here. Leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. This will throw her some serious points. The crowd cheers. They see brilliance. And we see brilliance as well. She is kicking towards home. She has 16 seconds left on the clock. 2 jumping efforts. If she can clear them both, she will go to the top of the podium. But how many seconds over? Or will she make that 6 minutes and 19 seconds optimum time? I'm not sure she's quite going to do it. But this is going to be the fastest round by fire, by a country mile. Gemma Tattersall, Arctic Soul, 53.7, top of the podium.
1.2 time penalties. Incredible from Gemma. Fastest round that I didn't think that was going to be possible today. We did tip her up as the one that could probably be the fastest around here, but that is exceptional.
So 53.7 the score to beat. Gemma just 3 seconds over the time. Sam Watson, you owe Gemma Tattersall a drink.
I do indeed.
Well done, and she just continues to deliver, does Gemma. She should be thrilled with that.
So Gemma has laid down the gauntlet. And clear of the Neptune kitchen at fence 17, Vittoria Panizon and Borough Pennies. She can be 4 seconds over the time to go ahead of Gemma. She's on 51.7. We'll get a clock check for her here. This would need to be a seriously fast round. This mare, so experienced, was just outside the top 10 at the London Olympics with Vittoria back in 2012. 12 seconds down on the clock, still a very fast time.
Very quick mare, nippier, bouncier. Just probably doesn't quite have that huge stride that Arctic Soul has.
No, well, Arctic Soul was a racehorse.
Yeah, well, there we go.
He was bred to go fast.
As away goes Tom McEwen for Great Britain with his 4-star campaigner Toledo de Cursa. 48.8 there, Dressage. 2 to add from the show jumping, and Tom is having a bit
just
of
made a mistake here. He's just overshot this fence. He's having to return back, and he won't be penalised apart from time, and that will really annoy him.
He forgot to go to the Pole Rocher champagne bar.
That's probably the first time in his life he's ever done that.
Exactly.
But he has corrected it, so he won't be penalised. It'll just be the time. Tom, I think, gives the horse a pat and says, it's not you, it was me. But he continues on. The horse's ears still pricked, and they will go left-handed now to the beater wall. But Victoria Panizon and Borough Pennies swinging right-handed now down to the SAP question, 22 A and B. She's a little further down on the clock than Gemma was, but still a very fast round across the country.
So a combination that look like they will slip in behind Gemma Tattersall on the leaderboard, on the podium at the moment, but they're having a fantastic round for Borough Pennies.
Now, coming away from the Dodson and Horrell Performance Range wall and hedge, Blythe, we've seen a lot of riders take the higher part of that hedge.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite soft. It's very possible to jump through it, and it just seems that once they land and turn, it's the better line. Very bold here at the water is Tom.
This horse en route to Burley, Toledo de Cursor. Experienced despite his young age. Clear at Babington early this year, and Poe 4-star at the end of last season as well.
Ooh. Living dangerously a little at the Red Savannah water, but Borough Pennies straight as a die through that B element, and Victoria Panizon gives the mare a pat down the neck. They're heading up towards home, just the 2 to go. The time penalties are clocking up. Gemma Tattersall is sitting safely at the top of the leaderboard, but I think we've just seen the latter part of the round, the mare's just perhaps run out a little bit of petrol.
Yeah, and that's the going. It's quite holding, and the hills, so, you know, it has had a little bit of an effect on this mare, but she's still keeping her jump right to the end, as she always does, and a very good round.
And to be fair for Victoria, she knows the mare inside out. She's going to go third, brings her home safely. Borough Pennies and Victoria Panizon go third on the podium. The current clubhouse leader, Gemma Tattersall and Arctic Soul, 53.7. That is the score to beat. But Tim Price, Xavier Fair, one of the fastest horses. If anybody could have beaten Gemma across the country, Tim could. 20 penalties at an early question at the Smith and Williamson Hedge Corner.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know quite whether Tim had his line or whether the horse read the problem, but, you know, he just sort of didn't really seem to take that on over at second attempt.
He's an interesting horse, obviously so impressive at Babington this year when going clear and inside the time. Tim is going to retire here from the looks of it after an early 20 penalties and keep him for another day.
So Gemma Tattersall taking her place at the top of the podium. She's going to enjoy that for as long as she possibly can. How long can she hold on for? We'll hear from Gemma very shortly. But Toledo de Cursor, Tom McEwen heading on up the hill towards the Richard Coghlan arch log. But let's catch up with the lady on top of the podium. Gemma Tattersall is with Alice.
Gemma, that was an extraordinary performance. You flew.
I literally did. And Sam Watson, you owe me a drink. That horse is quite simply mental. He is so fast, he's such a good jumper, he's so brave, he knows his job inside out. I know him inside out, and I just dared myself at every fence, and yeah, he answered every single question as usual. He's just insane.
It's so good to see your face change, because after the show jumping it was all glum.
It was, because I thought the horse jumped at one of the best rounds he's ever jumped in his whole life. He was giving the fences 2 foot and felt absolutely incredible, and we just made a mistake. That was it.
Gem, you're on pole position. Let's see how long you can stay there. Well done.
Hope so.
Well, she's going to stay there for a little bit longer because Tom McEwen has 7 seconds in hand over her. That is nowhere near enough for him to get home. He's clear of the top spec saddle horse at 23. But what can this man do? He's been ranked inside the world's top 10 on 2 occasions already. He's been to 2 Olympic Games representing Sweden, Ludwig Svenestall and Ballum Mist. Owned by Andrew Ayres, this horse Ludwig has worked so hard on over the last few years. And I have it on good authority that this horse is quick across the country.
He's an interesting one. He's been the dark horse of the competition ever since Ludwig gave an interview saying the tougher the conditions, the better for this horse. We knew he had to pay attention. Produced a fantastic dressage test, one of the great clears this morning. And Ludwig, it's just going to be up to him as to what he can produce in the speed.
Well, Tom McEwen heading towards home with a lovely clear round on Toledo de Cursa. Just the 2 jumping efforts remain for him. He's clear of the Jules wagon at the penultimate, so on to the Event Horse Owners Association Festival finale. He's not going to challenge the leaderboard, but a very, very good classy clear round across the country from this young combination. Well, we're well inside the top 10 here. Leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. In the studio with me, Sam Watson from Equiratings and the former world champion Blythe Tate as well. But Ludwig Svenestall is motoring with Ballamiss. 7th place after the first 2 phases, 48.6. And he has 12 seconds in hand over Gemma Tattersall.
It'll be interesting. We've seen Ludwig, for such a young man, he's extremely experienced, but Ballamiss does have a checkered record when it comes to jumping clear around tracks like this. So there's 2 things to do here. Yes, you've got to be on the clock, but you've got to make sure that this horse jumps all the fences as well. Really fascinating combination out on the course at the moment.
I'm pretty sure that Ludwig won't have put himself in this competitive position and then not take the opportunity. So my money's on him kicking on.
I think he really will kick on, and actually 4 minutes and 6 left on the clock as he's at the Hamptons International House, and as a very early indication he would need 4 minutes and 9 left on the clock there. So he's there or thereabouts, but still a very long way to go. We can't get carried away at this stage of the course, but he is certainly set out like he means business.
Well, Ludwig has had 3 spins in this Gatcombe CIC 3-star in the past. 3 clears across the country, averaging 11.1 time penalties. But this looks like this is faster than average for Ludwig.
He was very quick through there. He took the forward 3 and the forward 5, and you know, it was as straight as a die, so he couldn't have done that any quicker.
And it is a great opportunity to watch these. You know, Ludwig's been to 2 Olympic Games. Gemma Tattersall making her Olympic debut last year. Vittoria Panazon, another Olympian. To see this quality of horse and rider out on course really being put to the test and really trying to maximize everything out of their horses.
But away goes Sarah Cohen, representing Great Britain with Pressy Spark and Lynn Jones's Treason. This is a combination that have already won an Event Rider Masters leg in 2017. They won in Wiesbaden with the fastest round across the country. 3.6 time penalties they got on that occasion. They come forward with a 2-phase score of 47.0.
Sarah Cohen and Treason have come alive with this Event Rider Masters in 2017. 3 appearances, 3 top 10s, that win in Wiesbaden, and it is all here to play for them at Gatcombe as well. This competition is really hotting up. Gemma Tattersall, leader at the top of the leaderboard with the fastest time of the day.
But back to Ludwig Svenestall. Ballamiss coming to the Land Rover Folly. We'll get a clock check for him here. He can be 12 seconds over the time to go ahead of Gemma Tattersall, remember. But he is down on the clock. The question will be how far down on the clock? 9 seconds, so he can't afford to lose much more. This is going to be close. It will come down to how much is left in the horse's tank across the country.
And we've seen with other horses that these time checks throughout the course that tends to keep slipping away. So even at 9 seconds, he's got 12 in hand, but just might not be enough with the challenges left on the course.
Oh, I don't know. The horse has still got plenty of gallop. He's just set off up that hill as quick as anyone.
Sarah Cohen clear of the Paul Roger bar at fence number 8. Goes on to the beta wall at 9. Will swing left-handed to the Hamptons International barn. This is a horse that has been such a superstar for Sarah. He is such a family pet now. She has been at the top level of the sport for a number of years, but in recent years has sort of taken a step back. She's got a family that are hugely supportive of her eventing. Treason, Mr. T, as he's known at home, lives in the field with her children's pony, and he is very much part of the family. What can he do here? Sarah Cohen and Treason, 47.0. Just had to work a little bit through that combination.
Yeah, he had a little look in the barn at the big table as well, went a bit high. Sarah had to slip her reins. So hopefully he's forward focused here, because this is quite a combination.
Will be interesting to get the time checks, but he looks to be going just that half gear slower than some of the horses we've seen so far on track.
But he does have an enormous stride, so we'll wait for that clock check. Ludwig Svenestall, meanwhile, and Ballon missed. He's not going to be a million miles away. It is going to come down to how much he has in the tank coming up the final hill. He can be 12 seconds over the time to go ahead of Gemma Tattersall. He's got 10 seconds left on the clock. He is motoring. He is such a popular rider in Sweden. Ballon missed, heading towards home.
Asking the horse to move on up the hill, balancing the horse to the second last. Down the hill to the last.
Well, the clock is
close.
red. Gemma Tattersall on 53.7. I don't think he's quite going to do it. He's going to take a pull at the last. It's been an incredible round across the country from the Swedish superstar, but he is going to go second, 55.4. Gemma Tattersall stays out in front on the top of that podium for a little bit longer.
Well, that's huge pressure because the person behind her in the series is Sarah Cohen. She's 5 points behind Gemma Tattersall in the Event Rider Masters series so far in 2017. She would really need to move ahead of Gemma to get ahead of her in the series.
Well, Sarah Cohen and Treason on course at the moment have 16 seconds in hand over Gemma Tattersall, but I have to say I think they're down on the clock. We'll get a clock check for them at the Land Rover Folly. But it's difficult to catch up the time. You certainly wouldn't want to be catching up too much time after this combination. And she is 18 seconds down. She can have 16 seconds in hand, but unfortunately that is not going to be enough. Well, that to me looks like Oliver Townend has had an unscheduled parting of company from Noteworthy. We'll wait for news on that. But that would mean elimination under the rules of FEI. So we'll bring you more on that as soon as we have any information. But Sarah Cohen and Treason right at the top of the course, an opportunity to open up on the accelerator here.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly is doing everything that Sarah is asking of him. He's a very experienced horse. I'm not sure he's enjoyed the going as much as he does the top of the ground. He's had to work a little harder in the combinations, but, you know, she's riding a very good round, and she's still very competitive.
The thing about these classes is that there is a bit of depth in the prize money as well, and in the overall series. So Gemma has put an exceptional performance out there, and great to see Noteworthy and Oliver on their feet, but the leaderboard here, Cutty, can still play a big part in it.
Well, it must be said that Tim Price retiring out on course, Oliver Townend not completing, really throws that leaderboard wide open. We're into the top 5 here, leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters, reverse order cross country. Sarah Cohen currently sitting second on the series leaderboard with Treason. She is well within the sights of home now at the Event Rider Masters parallel. And she'll swing back now to the red Savannah Water. The horse, I think, Sarah will be just looking to get him home safely now, Blythe. She's not going to catch Gemma at the top of that leaderboard.
No, she's not, but as Sam said, there's still good prize money well down, and she's thinking of series points. She's ridden a really good round, and she's just got 2 to jump, and she's going to be right in the mix.
She's also first reserve for the British team, I think, so.
Yeah, well, this has been a very good performance.
So Sarah Cohen heading up the Gatcombe Hill towards home with the Pressy Sparks Treason. They won in Wiesbaden. They were top 10 at Jardy as well. And they're holding a good chance of finishing top 10 here at Gatcombe as well, because they clear the last. They're not going to challenge Gemma Tattersall's lead, but they go through the finish complete on 60.2. And that will be good enough to put her into 3rd place. So onto the podium. Well, we understand it was fence number 4 that caught out to Oliver Townend and Noteworthy. That was the Harrington's wall coming out of the woods. So unfortunately, his challenge here today is over. But our attention turns to Bill Levitt. Shannondale Titan, owned by the Prentice family. Alfie, as he's known at home. 45.2 his starting score.
Well, a good performance in Wiesbaden for Bill Levitt. He was clear across the country, 9.2 time penalties on a day when the time was tough to get. So he'll be giving it a go. He's a big fan of the Event Rider Masters.
So Bill Levitt has 21 seconds in hand over Gemma Tattersall. Gemma on the top of the podium. Beanie enjoying her spot there for a little bit longer, because along comes Ludwig Svenestål, who is going to take great pleasure in knocking Beanie down the podium. Gemma will just enjoy that top spot for a little bit longer. She's out in front, 53.7. Ballon missed Ludwig Svenestål on 55.4. And Lebowski will be down to 4th. Beanie Sturgis better enjoy the podium for a few more moments, because Treason, Sarah Cohen, 60.2, they're on their way.
Well, Shannondale Titan, they did make the time when they were 4th at Bramham in the Event Rider Masters there last year in the CIC 3-star, but he's not a horse notorious for speed, so this is going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, I think he's just a little bit difficult to control, and so therefore Bill has to, make sure and to set up for the fences, but he has got a good stride, and Bill is certainly going to give it a good shot. He started out very well over the corner to the skinny brush, was as good as anyone.
So Bill Levitt and Shannondale Titan gallop away from the Paul Roger bar. We'll go left-handed now to the beta wall at fence number 9. Now, Bill, a very experienced competitor, Blythe. I'm sure you know him well. He's a very cool cookie, isn't he?
He is indeed. I would like to see him go well today, because he's put, as you said, he's put a lot into this series and a lot into this horse. So fingers crossed. And so far, so good.
They have pulled out quicker times when they've needed to. 2nd at Belton, just 2 time penalties on that occasion. That was in 2015, just 5 seconds over. And also making the time at 4-star level at Poe back in 2015.
Well, in 4th place coming into the cross-country, the reverse order cross-country means that next out will be Sir Mark Todd, then Alexander Bragg, then our leaders into this final phase, Marcio George. And in fact, news is that Mark Todd away from the start. We'll get vision on him very shortly, but Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan, coming back to the House of Fraser Water.
You can see from the aerial shot there how tight he was to that turn. He's wasted no time. He was very smooth through the 2 previous combinations. So,
well, what can this man do? So Mark Todd, Kiltubrid Rhapsody, 44.5. They come forward on. This a horse that finished 3rd at St Muir earlier on this year, was 6th at Buccalo last year. And Sir Mark hasn't had the easiest of times in the Event Rider Masters Series, but podiumed at Barbary with Leonidas.
Mark has had some very good form with this horse, and but I spoke to him earlier, and he's not quite sure that this course is exactly ideal for his horse, for Rhapsody, because he's got such a big stride.
So Bill Levitt and Shannondale Titan eating up the ground as they make that long run up towards the John Williams stable wall and the Neptune kitchen at 16 and 17. We'll get a clock check for Bill. And remember, he can be 21 seconds over the time to go ahead of Gemma Tattersall. We'll check his time at the Land Rover Folly. I have to say, I think he's going to be a bit too far down on the clock to challenge Gemma, but there is still space on that podium, remember. It is Great Britain out in front of Sweden, and then Sarah Cohen currently sitting in 3rd on 60.2.
Well, very close. He's 29 seconds down on the clock. 21 is what he's got in hand. That's 8.4 time penalties. But this course just taking its toll. And Gemma Tattersall, who's on the top of the leaderboard, she's starting to think with so few competitors left to go, she could stay there for the whole competition and finish as the winner of this Gatcombe leg.
Well, that would make a huge impact on the series, because she would make it very tough to beat herself. So Mark Todd, Kiltubrid Rhapsody, coming back to the Hamptons International Barn at fence number 10. And he's such a master across the country, isn't he, Blythe? Because he never looks like he's in a hurry.
No, and he doesn't, as we said before, he doesn't waste a single second. He's certainly a very brave cross-country rider. He always takes the forward option, just like he did then.
Well, we'll do a quick clock check for Sir Mark as he comes to the Equex China Pond at fence 12. He jumps in with 3 minutes and 42 on the clock. He would need to jump in with 3 minutes and 52, so he's about 10 seconds down there or thereabouts.
Well, it's interesting. He's had some good success with this horse. That third place at Semur, but not making the time. 5.2 time penalties. 6th at Buccalow last year. Again, not making the time. 4.4 time penalties.
Well, Bill Levitt and Shannondale Titan just catching a leg at fence number 20, the Richard Coghlan Arch Log. And Shannondale Titan on his feet. Bill getting to his feet as well. So hopefully none the worse for wear.
No, unfortunately, you get one shot at that fence, and Bill came up and decided to take the long stride on a bit of an angle, and unfortunately it's a steep pitch up there, and the horse just caught the right foreleg and twisted him off.
Well, flashbacks of Chatsworth there for Bill Levitt, but great to see them up on their feet, and it's really tough because they've had two such good phases here today, particularly that dressage test from Bill, so such a shame. But Sir Mark Todd, that's one more person out of the way for him to try and get onto that podium as well. So it is all to play for. It is always getting hotter and hotter as these classes unfold.
Well, into the top 3 here. Leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. Sir Mark Todd, Kiltubrid Rhapsody out on course. And actually Mark can be 24 seconds over the time to go ahead of Gemma Tattersall. We'll do a clock check on him very shortly. But he doesn't need a stopwatch, does he, Blythe? He has one in his mind.
I think today you just go as fast as you safely can. You know you're not going to be too far inside the time. So it's a matter of just reading the horse. I think you'll take the forward 5 strides here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, because as I said, this horse is such a long strider. I think it would have been slower for him to fight with the horse, so he'll be pleased with that.
21 seconds down on the clock. He can be 24 seconds over to go ahead of Gemma Tattersall. I think he's going to be pushing it to get that close. And I think that actually, we should just take a moment to think how fast Gemma went to be that quick across the country.
When you talk about these horses and a horse with the CV of Arctic Soul and with what Gemma's been doing over these last 18 months in particular in the form of her life, to see it unfold, it's one thing to talk about, it's one thing to see it on paper, but to watch that unfold and to execute it as well as she did in these conditions, it's a really, really fantastic achievement.
Well, I just look over my shoulder in our studio and see the sight of Alex Bragg with Sally Ellicott's Zagreb flying away from the start box. They jumped the Bedmax Bells and the Renison Log at 1 and 2 to get their round underway. Alex, who has enjoyed the most incredible purple patch in the last 12 months, but richly deserved because he is very much one of the biggest talents on the British circuit. So we'll be watching his round carefully. But Sir Mark Todd at the SAP question with Kiltubrid Rhapsody. And he is down on the clock, and that clock is slipping away from him slightly. He's 30 seconds left to get home.
Well, as we said, it only gets more difficult as the course goes on here. This really is a test. It's an attritional test, it's a speed test, it's a stamina test. Mark Todd doing a great job out there on course, but highlighting just how good our clubhouse leader did out there.
So coming to the red Savannah Water, it is Mark Todd, Kiltubrid Rhapsody.
Big scopy jump in and out.
Beautifully clear.
I mean, Mark said at the beginning that he felt that this course wasn't really going to suit his horse, and I think he'd be thrilled to bits. The horse has gone really well, answered every question, been as straight as a die, and I think he'll be happy with the performance.
So he's not going to challenge the lead of Gemma Tattersall, but if he clears the Event Halls Owners Association Festival finale, he should go onto the podium, and this is an important round in terms of series points as well, because he was on the podium at Barbary, top 10 in Shardy, and he should finish top 10 here as well, because Sir Mark Todd completes 59.7, and that is good enough to go third.
Well, we're looking on our screens now. Alexander Bragg and Zagreb, the horse who was just 2 seconds over the time at Aachen. They were clear and inside the time at Belton. They were in the top 5 at Po 4-star last year. They are in the form of their lives, and they really look to be, on paper, the people that can challenge the leader.
And how much would Alex love to do it for the Ellicott family, because they have been huge supporters of his and his wife Simone for a number of years now. And it's brilliant that the winner of each horse, the owner, gets a 2-night stay at the Monarch B&B over in Ireland. And the owner of the horse with most series points as well will get that 2-night stay during the exclusive Monarch sale in November. So brilliant to see support for the owners, because they are such a huge part of the journey, as are our super grooms as well. We'll talk about many of them, but make sure you vote too, because you can vote for your ERM super groom, but our leader from the dressage and the show jumping for Brazil, the whole of Brazil will be watching right now, cheering this man on, Marcio Carvalho George, Lissy Mac Weyer. They represented Brazil at the Home Olympics last year, 41.0. They come forward in their second event Rider Masters leg. They finished 5th at Barbary a little over 12 months ago, and they come forward as our 2-phase leaders. Sam, EQA rating speed stats. What can we expect from Lissy Mac Weyer?
Well, from Lissy Mac Weyer on paper, she's got a job to do. We have to go back 2 years to the Pan American Games when they finished in the top 10. That was the last time they made the time in an international competition. At 3-star, they have incurred time penalties. So with these conditions today, very different to what they're used to in Brazil, I'd imagine. So they've got it all to do, but Marcio was fantastic at Chatsworth. He was inside the time on that occasion with his other horse, Colonel MCJ, so let's see what they can do here.
Well, Alex Bragg is heading up to the Land Rover Folly. We're going to get a clock check for him here with Zagreb, because he can afford to be 30 seconds over the time. He's got time in hand over Gemma Tattersall. This is a horse with an enormous stride, and he's 15 seconds down on the clock. The door is open for Alex Bragg to knock Gemma Tattersall off the top spot. Still a long way to go, though.
Yeah, it's still a long way, but we've seen them being on target to get ahead of their rivals at that halfway point, but the clock keeps slipping as they go through the course.
Yeah, I mean, he's jumped the difficult combinations. He's just got the hills at the end, and if his horse is fit and with a big stride like that, he should be able to keep him running.
Marcio George, the whole of Brazil behind him. Lissy Mac Weyer, will he be our first Brazilian winner of an Event Rider Masters leg? 41.0 his dressage, and he set out like he means business. He was talking to Alice after his show jumping, and he said, Blythe, that he was going to give it a good go.
I'm sure he will, and I mean, this horse on type is a good horse for this course. It's light on its feet, it's quite nimble, and it's very forward going, so it's not over yet.
So 2 combinations out on course, the last 2 to go in this reverse order cross country here at the Festival of British Eventing at Gatcombe Park. Marcio George, Lissy Mac Weyer, foot perfect through the Dodson and Horrell combination.
Absolutely, he chose a very nice straight line. He went a little bit more to the left over the wall, and it worked really well. The horse was focused and really read the problem well.
Well, it could be fascinating, because Marcio's such a talented rider. He's got an Olympics under his belt. Talking about that Chatsworth round earlier in the season, yes, it was with his other horse, but it showed that he's really stepping up his game, and an opportunity like this to take a podium finish at an Event Rider Masters.
Alex Bragg is coming to the red Savannah water. He's going to be over the time, but he has 30 seconds in hand over Gemma Tattersall. And depending on how much he has left in the tank, he rather scrambles over that B element. He's going to need the crowd to cheer him on up this final hill. Will it be a British winner? He can do certainly his best. He has 20 seconds to get home.
This is going to be so tight. It's very hard to call. He's 15 seconds over the time. So far, he's got 10 seconds to get home after he's jumped the second last.
I'm not sure he's going to quite be able to do it. He very sensibly took a pull before the penultimate. I think Gemma Tattersall will be able to breathe a tiny sigh of relief, but Alex Bragg, what a round from him in the Event Rider Masters, and he's 36 seconds over the time, 56.0, and he will go just behind Ballon Mist. He will go 3rd on the podium.
So only one man can unship Gemma Tattersall from the top of the podium, Marcio Carvalho George. Out on course, and he looks like he's going for it. Horse in a nice rhythm, ears prick, going well, but they are being quick.
We'll get a time after this volley fence, but so far
he has
Been very smooth.
31 seconds in hand. He's 24 seconds down on the clock. He's going to be doing well. We've seen the clock slip away from a number of riders in the second half of the course, but there's still time.
Well, he certainly let the handbrake off down that hill.
He was 9 seconds slower than where Alex was at that point on the course, and I think that's probably going to be a good indicator that Gemma Tattersall is putting herself in a very, very strong position. She's having a good weekend.
So Marcio George clears the Richard Coughlin arch log at fence 20. He is the last combination out on course with Lissy McWare, the horse he rode at the Rio Olympics last year. And he has our undivided attention because the reverse order cross country means it will either be a Brazilian win here or it will be a British win. He clears the beta double brush fence 21. So he's on the homeward stretch. Now, Blythe, as a rider, this point of the course, you know you've got some tough questions still to come. Your horse is perhaps tiring slightly. What goes through your mind at that point?
Well, obviously you want to be as quick as you can, but you've got to read the situation. There's no point making a silly mistake at the end here. So he'll be squeezing everything he can out of his horse, but you know, he's keeping a level head. I'm really pleased to see Marcio go well now because he's dedicated himself fully to riding. He's taken a year out of his dental practice, is it? And it's starting to pay dividends.
I want to say he's a doctor.
I think he might be an anaesthetist, actually, yeah.
Yes. Degree in medicine.
Yeah.
Multi-talented. But it is huge for Brazil as well because Marcio has been a huge part of their teams and he's brought his whole family over here. They've based over here and he has really made Britain a second home.
Oops, he needs to kick on here.
He's got to kick at the second last stands off the water.
Over.
So Marcio George, Lissy McWare, the crowd here at Gatcombe cheer him on up the hill. He can be 31 seconds over the time. He's not going to do it. Gemma Tattersall is going to take leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters Series with Arctic Soul. But Marcio George still clear of the penultimate. He's just got the one to go. The time penalty's clocking up, and this is still going to be a very good top 10 finish.
Yeah, very good performance from Marcio this week. So impressive in the dressage phase. Again in the show jumping arena this morning. Fantastic to get Lissy home and through the finish. But 2 British riders on that podium. That's probably what the home crowd wanted to see here.
Moving to podium.
Gemma Tattersall expressing her delight here with Masterberry to the crowds at Gatcombe. That is the most incredible performance from this young lady. 1.2 time penalties. Let's just take a moment to reflect on how special that round across the country was. Sam, firstly, from a speed perspective here at Gatcombe, very, very special.
Very special, an opportunity, a very rare opportunity for a horse who's that good and has that many good rounds on his CV, badmintons, Blair European Championships. You'd rarely get to see him push to his full capacity, and he still looks so comfortable doing it here at Gatcombe today. It was a real pleasure to watch that.
You'd have to say that he was the fittest horse in the field. I mean, he just came up the finish like he did at the start, still full of running, so all credit to Gemma.
And how brilliant is it to see 3 young superstars on the podium, because Alex Bragg finishing in 3rd, and he did a beautiful round across the country.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a 3-phase competition as well, and it was really proven that here at Gatcombe. The show jumping was tough, the dressage standard was very high, and Alex has certainly come solid in all 3 phases.
When we look back to this morning, Gemma Tattersall, that moment in the last combination, the show jumping, she won't thank us for replaying it this morning, and you can see her reaction from it. But that is the great thing about eventing. It's 3 phases, it's highs and lows. There was certainly real frustration for Gemma this morning, but wow, she turned it around.
Yeah, and she's an absolute professional. She would have put that behind her. She would have focused on the moment, and she rode a foot-perfect round, so well-deserved.
Well, the podium is full of 3 very talented riders. Let's go down and catch up with Alice. What a cross-country.
What a competition. It didn't disappoint. Let's talk to our 3rd placed finisher, Alex Bragg. You really put it to them. Your horse was fantastic with the jumping, but struggled with the time.
Yeah, I think that final hill, you know, he's not been prepped for this event, so he's well early in his kind of fitness preparation. But he tried his heart out and he kept jumping. I just had to work quite hard towards the end.
What sort of ride did he give you? I mean, it looks like a roller coaster. Harry Mead described it as like being in a tumble dryer.
Yeah, you're turning, you're up and down. There's not a lot of level ground to actually be on. So the horses are always having to balance themselves, and I think that makes them work harder. But I'm glad to be sat here. My 3 girls are eventing today, and I think they're bringing home rosettes. If I didn't, I think I would have let the family down. So thank God for that.
And Alex, you've just proved once again what a consistent performer you are at the top level. Best placed British rider in Aachen, a fantastic cross country at Badminton. It was disappointing not to finish, and reserved for the British team, but you've just shown again what you can do.
Yeah, you know, he's a great horse and we're improving all the time. That's the exciting thing. So hopefully if we have a good autumn, next spring could be good, and then let's see what happens for next year.
And a quick word on your owner, Sally Ellicott. I know she was hiding in the trees.
Yeah, no, Sally and Philip are amazing supporters of us. We live in the same village. She'll often do the school run and everything. She gets ever so nervous before the cross country, but she'll be thrilled. So yeah, this is for her, and it'll mean so much to them, much more than anyone can believe. So I'm really thrilled for them.
Absolutely. Let's go to our second placed rider. Ladies and gentlemen, in second place for Sweden, Ludwig Svennestal. Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm very happy. The horse was super, and this is the right track for him. So no, it's great.
You were saying that he's a horse that you've had to build a relationship with over the last couple of years. He had a rocky old start, but my God, you looked a partnership out there.
No, it was great, but it's taken a bit of time to be able to perform at this level, and you know, I'm very grateful to the owner who have had the patience with him, and it's great to have such a great result here.
And what was your take on the course? For people watching at home, I mean, it is a crazy place. What's it like to ride?
Like, I thought I went so fast, and I can't believe Gemma was that quick. Like, I thought I rode so fast. But it's a good track, very testing, and it's a very demanding course, but it suits a certain type of horse, and it is good crack.
And hey, this is the Event Rider Masters. We want it to be a test. Congratulations, Ludwig. Fantastic performance. But ladies and gentlemen, your winner of leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters here from Gatcombe, Great Britain, Gemma Tattersall.
Yes! I think Sam Watson owes me a whole bottle now, actually. I'm so happy with him. I had a proper princess drop after the show jumping because he was so amazing, and the 2 down didn't reflect how well he jumped. But this track suits him down to the ground. To be honest with you, any track does. That's why he's one of the best cross-country horses in the world, probably the best in my eyes. And he just stormed round. That is by far the fastest I have ever gone in my life.
And that's fast.
That is fast. I was so brave. I went on every, first stride I saw everywhere, which is a little bit scary when you see it about 15 strides out and you are committed on that one. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I hope he picks up. But he always does, and he looks for the flags, and he's so professional, and he's a full thoroughbred, and he just gallops up the hills like so easily.
What an advert he is for the retraining of racehorses.
I know, amazing. He was still racing as a 6-year-old horse, so he's just incredible, to have done what he's done. 4 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, now a 3-star winner. Maybe one day we'll win a 4-star.
I'm sure it won't be long. 2 legs, though, you've won of the Event Rider Masters. Let's get a full look at the leaderboard for today. What an amazing competition. Congratulations. Great Britain wins in 2nd, Sweden, and Great Britain in 3rd. Great Britain taking 2 legs of this podium.
Well, that leaderboard, after such a dramatic 3 phases, they climb from 12th after dressage. Gemma Tattersall, Arctic Soul, by far the fastest round across the country, take the win here ahead of Ludwig Svennestal for Sweden. Zagreb, Alexander Bragg completing their podium, and Sir Mark Todd and Sarah Cohen both picking up very good series points. Beanie Sturgis finishes 6th, Marcio George in 7th. An excellent Event Rider Masters debut for Caroline March, postmaster. She climbs 19 places after dressage to finish just outside the top 10. David Britnell, another very good run across the country for him. Away cruising Harry Mead. Things not quite going to plan for them across the country, but they complete. And drama for Tim Price, Bill Levitt and Oliver Towner, none of whom completed and all of whom were after series points. But back here in the studio, Blythe Tate, Sam Watson from Echo Ratings with me. Let's just take a moment because we've talked about how special Gemma's round was. But in terms of the series, Sam, that blows it out the water.
Yeah, she's overtaken the winning total from last year. Now, we do have an extra leg this year, but I think she fully deserves it because she was the one who missed out last year. She was up there with Paul Tapner, Janelle Price, and of course Oliver Townend with that late surge. She was up there the whole way through and ended up missing out on the final day. So she's put herself in a really strong position. We know how hard she works for it, and we know how much she loves this horse as well. She does have a really talented string of horses. She'll keep going in this series. She'll want to pick up the prize money at all the individual legs as well. It's been great.
And Blythe, as a rider, how important is it to have aims like this?
Oh, very important. You know, as I said before, Gemma just continues to deliver, but she's got a large team of very, very good horses, and it just gives her the confidence. She comes to every leg very competitively. She can mix and match her horses. I mean, this horse was obviously always probably designed to come here because the track would suit her.
Chosen for his speed across the country, but we're now time for the official prize giving. Let's go down to Alice.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Festival of British Eventing at Gatcombe Park for leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters and the prize giving. Will you please welcome Mr. Chris Stone, the CEO of the Event Rider Masters. And he will now present our third place finisher, riding Zagreb, owned by Sally Ellicott, representing Great Britain, ridden by Alex Bragg. They receive prize money of £8,000, a rosette and a magnum of Paul Roger champagne. And will you please welcome Lisa Stone, the chairman of the Event Rider Masters, who will now present our second place finisher, riding Barlam Mist, owned by Andrew Ayres, representing Sweden, Ludwig Svennestal. They'll receive prize money of £12,000, a rosette and a magnum of Paul Roger champagne. And so, will you please give a warm welcome to Peter Phillips, the co-chairman of the Festival of British Eventing, who will now present to the winner of the Event Rider Masters Leg 5 here at Gatcombe Park, the Soul Syndicate's Arctic Soul, representing Great Britain, Gemma Tattersall. They receive prize money of £16,000, a rosette and a magnum of Paul Roger champagne. And please, get the photo. And please will you welcome Tara Glenn, the Event Horse Owners Association representative, who will now present the owner of Arctic Soul, the Soul Syndicate, with the Event Horse Owners Association trophy, and also a 2-night stay in the Monarch Hotel in Ireland, compliments of the Monarch Elite Event Horse Sale. Okay, so let's take a look at how today's results have affected the series leaderboard. Well, Gemma came into this leg in the lead and clearly not done her chances too much harm. Gemma now heads the series with 2 legs still to go. With 104 points, Sarah Cohen, Great Britain, on 91. Sir Mark Todd has gone right up with today's performance with 69, and Marcio Georges not done too badly either. So that concludes the action here from leg 5 at the Festival of British Eventing at Gatcombe Park. Well done, Gem! Join us again here. Join us again with the Event Rider Masters on the 26th and 27th of August at Blair Castle Equitrek International Horse Trials for leg 6 of the Event Rider Masters 2017. Congratulations, Gemma. Goodbye.